And oh, just like that river I've been running ever since. It's been a long, long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes it will. It's been too hard living, but I'm afraid to.
The Ku Klux Klan, also called the KKK, was founded out of hatred against blacks in 1886 by Captain John C. Lester, Major James R. Crow, John D. Kennedy, Calvin Jones, Richard R. Reed, and Frank O. McCord. Among their targets were black and white activists during the Civil Rights Movement. The KKK robbed, raped, tortured, shot, murdered, lynched, and harassed civil rights activists and successful individuals that were not of their race. The Civil Rights Movement refers to the movement in the United States aimed at outlawing racial discrimination against African Americans and restoring suffrage in the southern states. It occurred from 1955 to 1968. In the deep south of Montgomery, Alabama, segregation was in schools, public facilities, buses, and in every other corner of the city. Blacks were also victims of violence committed unto them by whites. Whites were often not charged for their acts. On December 1st, 1955, on a bus in Montgomery, Alabama, Rosa Parks was sitting in the fifth row with 3 other blacks. She was told by the bus driver to give up her seat to a white person who was standing in the aisle. Miss Parks kept her seat because she said that she was tired from working that day. Rosa Parks was arrested. When E.D. Nixon heard this, he called the police to find out why, but was denied any information. He asked Clifford Durr, a white lawyer, to call, and Durr easily found out that Parks had been arrested for refusing to give up her seat on the bus. Nixon saw this as an opportunity to finally anger the black community enough to test the segregation laws in court, and went to jail and posted bond for Parks. He told her, "Miss Parks, with your permission we can break down segregation on the bus with your case." She agreed with the support of her husband and mother. Jill Ann Robertson, who had been trying to start a bus boycott for some time, and her students handed out flyers for a bus boycott on the day Rosa Parks was going to court, and many reverends agreed to mention the boycott in their sermons. Martin Luther King Jr., minister at Dexter Avenue Baptist Church, thought that if we could get 60% cooperation, the protest would be a success. Bus after empty bus rode by his house the next morning. The African Americans were taking a stand.
We, the Negro citizens of Montgomery, have been engaged in a nonviolent protest against injustices and indignities experienced on city buses.
The group that had planned the boycott called themselves the Montgomery Improvement Association, or the MIA, and elected King as president. Many could not decide whether or not to continue the one-day planned boycott because of the fear that it would not be successful and because of the obstacles that stood in its way. Among these obstacles were the fact that city officials announced that any cab driver charging less than 45-cent minimum fare would be prosecuted. Before, black cab drivers charged only 10 cents, and with this risen price, it was feared that many blacks would have no way to get to work. Thus, the MIA created the private taxi plan, where blacks would carpool and those that owned vehicles would provide others with transportation. There are many efforts to break up the boycott, such as false newspaper reports stating that the boycott had ended and the bombing of King's and Nixon's home. Business owners in Montgomery became frustrated with the boycott because blacks would stop shopping in their downtown shops, losing them thousands of dollars. In court, blacks used the Brown decision as their reasoning, which said that the separate but equal doctrine had no place in public education. Blacks concluded that this went for public facilities too. On November 13, 1956, the U.S. Supreme Court upheld the federal court's ruling declaring segregation on buses unconstitutional. The boycott ended on December 21, 1956. After 381 days of perseverance, African Americans rose and defeated. Although the Montgomery Bus Boycott used passive and nonviolent tactics, that in itself would not have brought about the equality for blacks during the civil rights movement. Blacks were also violent against whites, but usually in defense. Malcolm X is one of the most influential blacks in history, born on May 19, 1925. He spent 6.5 years in prison for burglary, where he converted to the Nation of Muslim faith, which professed the superiority of black people and the evil of whites. Malcolm rejected both integration and racial equality, and instead called for black separatism, black pride, and black self-dependence. He advocated the use of violence for self-defense, and said that blacks should carry rifles to protect themselves from the violence against them by whites. His famous quote is, "that any means necessary," which meant that blacks should do anything to overcome inequality. Malcolm X was shot and killed on February 25, 1965. The Detroit riot of 1967 began when white policemen sought to arrest blacks that were having a party. When blacks were told to leave the building, they were upset because they had nowhere else to go. The blacks lifted up the bars of adjacent clothing stores and broke the windows. This riot was caused by political, economic, and social factors, including police abuse, lack of affordable housing, and urban renewal. The 5 days of rioting resulted in 43 people dead, 1,189 injured, and over 7,000 people arrested. The Newark riot of 1867 involved bricks and bottles launched at the police house where a black man had been arrested, and rumors had stated that he was beaten to death by the police. The angry crowd broke into stores on the nearby Commercial Main Road. The 6-day Newark riot was caused by police brutality, political exclusion of blacks from city government, urban renewal, inadequate housing, unemployment, poverty, and rapid change in the racial composition of neighborhoods. Nonetheless, African Americans became more and more equal in society. What they fought for became reality.